chain that was took in Chicago, my brother was there at the location. I feel like the chain got took from me. Game not having no clue that Young Buck is listening, or I'm in.
Oh shit!
Damn.
Okay.
Them Spider, we from Compton. I don't give a fuck about them. That chain. So Buck got to hear this with his own ear. I don't have to tell you what this said or none of that. I even think Yayo was on a three-way. I had just met him through the phone. So they both heard it. So bam. He also
and they were all cool with each other.
All cool. This was the biggest shock of their life at the time. And then, but Yayo was saying at the time, I told you I don't trust it. Y'all fucking with it.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
And I was on the phone when Spider Loc called you. Your punk and said you ain't want no problem.
Jojo Capone eventually got Young Buck and Godfather on the phone, and Godfather was essentially upset Young Buck left without letting him know, because he wanted to get the chain back for him. This is where Spider Loc steps in again and says he spoke to Godfather about his status in LA. Godfather then says, well, if you're from LA, then you should know I'm well connected with people like Suge Knight. And for Spider Loc, this was the perfect person's name to be dropped, because Spider Loc just got done being signed to Suge Knight. So Spider says, if you're connected with Suge, you ask him about me, Spider Loc. And that's when the phone call ended. According to Spider Loc, a couple hours went by and Godfather called and said, you're going to get the chain back and you better thank Spider Loc, which then officially put Spider Loc in a label situation deal with G-Unit.
The Godfather I left you on your own, and that's when Jojo Capone popped up, the game conversation came. So it happened when he tried to raise the price. Buck like, man, tell him keep it. That he leave town without letting Godfather know. So now he's in Atlanta. And now he's in Atlanta for somehow throughout the politicking, we get back on the phone with Godfather. But I'm in the picture now. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. The Godfather, like, yeah, I'm from...
Let's get this thing going. Yo, what up, my brother? Let's get this thing going. You got time to build? You want to come up here and build with me? While I get this thing going, I'm about to start sending this live out. If you're busy, let me know. But if you got the capabilities to pop up, pull up on me. I want to talk about how relationships are affecting cash flow. Send me a request. If you can. If you can't, no worries, Kane. I'm about to send this live out. Once I send this live out, I'm going to go heavy. Be on here for about 30 minutes, though. Yeah, you don't got to put your camera on. That's fine. You just need the audio. Just need the audio. What it do, what it do. Yeah, they said love is blind, but love got ears. Love is hearing everything that you do. Love got eyes, too. Love got it all. But one thing that love is contractual. And your relationships are affecting your cash flow. Yeah, send me a request to come up and build, bro. I'm gonna build for a minute. You don't need to have your camera on. I definitely want to get a lady up here, some feminine energy to come up here and build too. Why? Because it's very important to have a woman speak. It's very important to have a woman. It's very important to have a voice of the goddess. Definitely. All right, so you should be coming up in a second. All right. Yeah. What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
What's good, bro? How you doing, man?
Yo, I'm doing well, bro. I'm actually out here just chilling right now. I'm getting ready to make my way to New York. So I just wanted to jump on live real quick and start building it and talk about how love is contractual. Some people got it a little confused with love, right? So a lot of women are making love transactional, right, instead of contractual. But how you feeling? Though? How you feeling? What's going on with you, King?
I'm feeling good, bro. You know what I mean? Just made some calls to do my show tomorrow. I got a live tomorrow. Speaking on the threat of intelligence, because I feel like a lot of brothers are not in our community, not just by women, but just by our community at large. We don't really respect the intelligent black men. I think it's not just like I said, it's not just a threat to society, but it also seems to be a threat sometimes to our own brothers and sisters. So, I just want to expand on that conversation because, a lot of the based on, the talking points, because a lot of people, they say, oh, we don't want to hear the relationship stuff, but it's like everything in life boils down to relationship to me. You know what I mean? I feel like all things in society, especially in our community, it comes down to the relationship between us and our women, So I feel like that conversation can always be talked about. I think the manner in which it's spoken about could turn a lot of people off, but it doesn't diminish the value of the conversation. But I just feel like that since like you're talking about, contracts, and we're talking about, economics, and a lot of times a lot of brothers who end up in those fields are guys who, especially today, unless they're criminals, unless they're, businessmen, a lot of them are intelligent and went to school and got into a trade or a skill that gave them a lot of value. But a lot of those men sometimes turn their back, not just on dating their women, but even being around their own people as far as men as well. So I feel like it's sometimes our community, we don't embrace intelligence. We only embrace it once it achieves a certain result. But by that time, that person can sometimes be so turned off by the community that they don't return those resources, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like the way that we're moving, right, is based upon the way that we think things are. So the way that I'm going to operate in my life is based upon the things that I think is happening. The way that other people are reacting or doing in their lives is based upon the things that they are thinking is happening, right? Like the only way we could truly understand what's going on in somebody else's life is if they tell us, right? And we always get people that say, yeah, you don't really know me, or I've been doing this X, Y, and Z, or you don't want to share they don't want to share their business with other people. But I like to think about it as we're all in this one consciousness. We're all tapped into this one consciousness, and the way you see things is based upon your frequency, right? So what you see frequently is coming from your frequency, and it's vice versa. It's always cyclical in a situation where you keep seeing the same things in this cycle, because there's a lot of duality. And one of the things that I like to talk about is the relationship factor, because most people don't see this point, that the quality of their lives are based upon two things mainly, right? It's the habits and the quality of relationships that we have, right? So I used to think about, like, how can a person be homeless and have family and nobody's helping them? But you don't really know the story. You don't know what that person's been doing. You don't know how that person's been treating their family or treating the people that came in contact with them. So in reality, I'm gonna have a great life based upon my behavior. Like if I'm getting up and I see you all the time ill and I'm just like cursing you out or something, I got thin ice, right? I got thin ice. There's only a couple chances you're gonna rock with me or even say anything to me. But if I'm spreading love to you, if every time I see you, I'm sharing it in good positive energy, you're gonna want to reinforce that energy. So when it comes to relationships, I was talking on a live yesterday and I was saying how you can tell if your significant other is lying to you. And one of the ways that you can tell if your significant other is lying to you is if you are a defensive person. And so I'll say, let's take a step back and let's think about it. So if you are always the person that's defensive for things, chances are most people who are speak to you, they don't want to tell you certain things because they know how you get, they know how you act. We all know those people, and maybe we're those people to somebody else too. So when you start to think about it, that's contractual. Like all of it's contractual. Money is contractual. Relationships are contractual. But as I mentioned before, people are basing their lives based upon what they think is happening. So a lot of people are seeing social media. A lot of people are seeing television, but propaganda basically, or what we would say programming. And inside the programming is programming people to believe especially women, that love is transactional. So you hear a lot of women talk about, hey, if you can't pay for this, or if you can't be a provider, or if you can't do this and you can't do that, and they got a whole laundry list of things that a man must be able to do just to even speak to him. And some people could call it standards, some people could call it expectations, but in reality, it's programming, right? Because when you think about this, where did they learn it? Like we all learn how to speak from who? Like we didn't just wake up and just grow up just naturally learn how to speak. We have to actually be taught these things. So most of the things that we experience have been passed down. So the same thing when it comes to money. This is why I say we need to change our relationships when it comes to money. But I like the point that you were driving home with, where it's certain individuals, they're removed away from their community. Right. And I want you to elaborate more on that, because that's not a side that I typically talk on. But now I want to intertwine what I'm saying and what you just said and kind of bring it home for some people. So just circle back to what you were saying just now about the individuals who might, like, not get the love or might not be appreciated. And then also they're not even connecting with the people that's in their community.
Basically, what I'm basically trying to say is we live in a world where basically it's everything is about money, one way or another. Money and relating. Like even when you do the algorithm checks on YouTube and what's like the most searched after conversation, it's economic, it's fitness, and it's relationship. So these three things are intertwined, one way or the other. So what I'm saying is, like me, I like to go back and spin the block as far as history, because I feel like we don't really understand how we got here. And everybody got all these solutions, but they don't understand that our problem is a mental and spiritual problem. It's manifesting itself physically. It's manifesting itself economically. It's manifesting itself many ways, health-wise, nutritionally, or lack thereof. But this problem comes from a mindset and a mentality and a culture that we have cultivated in the Black community. And that culture does not always venerate intelligence. And since it doesn't, people with intelligent solution are not often heard in our community, because we don't listen to them until they show the fruits of their intelligence. In other words, finish line culture. Yeah, show me when you get there, then I'll listen. Not realizing that the information can get you there. So like a lot of times coming up in the inner city, it's not the guy that went to school all the time. It's not the guy that went to class all the time that was actually sought out by men or women of the community. It's the guy that disrupted it. It may be the guy that was an athlete. Not saying he was a bad guy, but it's not really the guy whose number one interest is maybe something intellectual and of that nature. They're not really venerated until later in life when they become something from that intelligence. But by that time, since they haven't built the proper relationships with people in the community, they don't feel the need to go back and share. That's why people say, they don't never bring it back. Why don't they bring it back? Because they had a bad experience sometimes in the cities, in our community, where being intelligent has made them ostracized and alienated. But then we want the results and the fruits of that information, but we don't cherish them people when they're around us. We wait till they go and get it and then want them to bring it back, but that's not how it works. So I just feel like if we can change our culture from as young men and young women, we can affect it later in life, because a lot of things we're dealing with as adults, it took shape and it manifested in school, and it just traveled into, even now you look at adults, everybody's following. They was doing this, they was following in high school. Oh, who's this? He's lit, let's follow him. That's how school was. You sit with the cool kids and then that type of dumb stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that culture leads itself into everything we do. We followers, we like to follow what's popular, not necessarily what's relevant, not necessarily what's important, but what's cool and it feels good at the moment. And sometimes knowledge, it's like when you find a jewel, you have to dig in the dirt to get to a place of knowledge. You got to take away from yourself. A lot of people say, I was just talking to a brother the other day that I'm gonna be on my show. Yes, tomorrow he was talking about how, a lot of these brothers, they complain about women because they're not outside. But listen here, brother, when you chasing after something big and you chasing after wealth, or you chasing after a business, or you trying to get the degree, guess one place they ain't gonna catch you outside, because you inside chasing something. So yeah, you may have lost touch with what's fly. You may have lost touch with who scored the last touchdown in the Super Bowl, because you in the house getting what you need to get to. So when these men come outside, it ain't because they awkward. It's because they was focused on the goal. So they may come outside, I guess not cool enough for you, but they are accomplished. They're intelligent. They have other things, but we don't appreciate that, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. This is why usually what you see in this paradigm is that when you are going through school, you see like the cool kids, the athletes, they end up right. Well, first of all, they have like a high stature in school, but then they're the ones who end up kind of on the lower tier of life later on, and it's the people who are quote unquote nerds or looked over, or people who spoke proper English, and then now those are the people who are actually instituting things and creating opportunities for other people to grow and providing jobs. And it's a sad thing because what are they glorifying? Like when you go back in time and you look at that, right? Like what were they actually glorifying? Like when they're following this person because they might be popular, or because they might be the best looking girl in school, or whatever the case may be. What was it that attracted them? What was that allure?
It's fitting in. It's the attraction of not being alone, because we all subconsciously want to be a part of something. That's just a human need. Nobody wants to be by themselves. Nobody want to go against the grain. But at what cost? At what expense? Your soul, your integrity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With your principles. So our people would rather be a part of something that's about nothing than be about something alone. And that's why this culture is where it's at, because we want to be cool. We want to fit in. It's like even certain information, if it's not validated by a celebrity or someone that's famous, a lot of people don't even listen. You know what I'm saying? Because we have this messiah complex. We have a fucking, excuse my language. We have a messiah complex. We have a celebrity complex. We want to be down, and we're afraid to go against what's popular, because everybody will say, "Oh, we're afraid of, other races or the police or the government." But the biggest thing our people are afraid of is each other.
Yeah.
Which perpetuates everybody else's fear, because we sitting around telling people, "Oh, they don't love us, and they scared of us." So, but we scared our own people. We don't want to tell each other what's real. We know, no snitch. Not saying you need to. I'm not bringing up that, but I'm just saying people. We got all these policies to, don't rock the boat, don't snitch, don't tell, don't do this, don't follow him, don't hang with him. Nah, he not cool. All that stupid stuff. And then those people who are intelligent, like I said, when they get older and they have all these memories of not being accepted by the community, yeah, they can grow out of that. Yeah, they can get help and get therapy. But most people are going to go by what they went through, and they'll love you from a distance. And we turn a lot of people off that way. A lot of people that we went to school with that come from other countries. I went to school with some guys that was from other countries. They would beat them up just because they're from somewhere else. And then when they get older, they say, "Oh, other cultures don't mess with us." Why? Some of it is propaganda. Some of it is because they've been lied to by the system. Some of it is that. But some of it is also because the direct experiences that they had when they dealt with us in adolescent years. Adolescent years shape who we are as adults. I don't care what nobody say. What you go through in high school and middle school, it affects your mind. And if you're not strong enough, you will succumb to your experience in that realm. And it won't make you good or bad. It's not a wrong or right thing for succumbing to that or not. That's just human reaction. If you keep burning people, you keep cutting cutting your nose to spite your face with people, they're not going to keep dealing with you. And sometimes our best and brightest are not accepted until they're already made it and they're already, graduating and all that. And at that point, they're not going to want to come back and spin the block and try to come to the community, because they know how it was when they was younger. They know how it was, how they was treated when they wanted to go to class and not go to the club. They would knock you for that. And in our community, we knock each other for acting our actual age. So if you're 12 and you're in middle school and you have the nerve to act like you're 12, you're a nerd. Because you're supposed to act like you're 17. You're supposed to act like you're 19. You're supposed to be smoking already. You're supposed to be fighting, having sex and all that. So acting our age is actually a detriment in our community. And even at young ages, when it comes to the transactional thing, that's not new. That's not something that just came about. It's just that social media has gave people platforms to speak of things that people are afraid to talk about. And it also gave you an audience to talk about things that people are afraid to talk about, because it shrunk the world. Because when I was talking to my man the other day, Black men are the only men in the world that are economically compared to millionaires from the time they're children. And I'm going to tell you why. When we're young, we're compared to the drug dealers of our community, men who are making 100,000, 500,000 a year. They comparing you to that when you 15, and then when you become an adult, they're comparing you to Jay-Z and LeBron. Black men are compared to wealthy men by the time they are born on this planet, and they're born behind the 8 ball, and we're still held to the standards of millionaires by the time at the age of being a child. I mean, when I was in high school, we wasn't competing with just the basketball players. We was competing with the grown men from the community. The grown men from the community who was selling drugs was getting the beautiful, beautiful girls in high school. Not because they was forcing them to, not because they was raping them to, because that's what those women wanted to do. So this contractual energy in our community has been there for a long time.
Absolutely. And one thing that you said too is like you just kind of hit a roadmap for us. Like we're trained to be against what's for us and for what's against us. And that right there is an issue, right? If we're trained to be for what's against us, chances are literally almost everything that we do will be out of alignment. This is why most people in the communities feel what we call struggle. Anytime we experience struggle, we are out of alignment, right? And one of the things about it is God put us here to be in groups, to be together, not to be exclusive, but to be inclusive, right? And one of the ways is like understanding that by nature we were meant to be in groups, right? In order to have one person, you have to have 2 people come together to have a child, and then by default you have 3 people. That's a group, right? So we were
Yes.
naturally meant to be put into these groups. But once again, what you tune into is what you turn into. So we have people who've been tuning into all sorts of sorcery that they don't even understand, because language creates spells. I always say this. I say
Yes.
language creates your reality. Right? Language produces a thought that produces a belief. The belief is double-sided, just like almost anything.
Yes.
I never seen a one-sided anything. So belief has 2 sides, and it's either you can or you can't. Either way, you take an action. And when you take an action, it produces a result. That result is your life by default. Your language creates your reality. So just like you said, there's a lot of people who were acting too older, right? Like you're 12 years old, but you're acting like you're 17, right? And what you're doing essentially is you're skipping steps. You're missing crucial developmental points where instead of being in that childlike space where you have to use your imagination, you're just being in the space where you're just using dictation. Somebody just telling you stuff, or you just telling somebody else stuff,
Yes.
and you're just doing things. So we end up being a lot of people doing, like we end up being humans doing instead of humans being. And that is one of the biggest problems. Like if people woke up and realized this is temporary. Yes, we're spiritual, and then that's perpetuated throughout the history. We understand that part, but your experience is a temporary experience. So what does that mean if your experience is a temporary experience? You're supposed to literally be here to improve on what is here already. Because every moment that comes, shit is the past. Like when we just logged on about 20 minutes ago, it's over now. That's the past. We're into this next moment. And if every moment is happening like this, some people get stuck in what we call the past.
Yes.
Right? And that's because we're kind of out of tune with what life truly is. And we're out of tune with that it's all about the present. This is why when you're acting in the present, you get gifted with things. If you're staying in the past, you kind of get gifted with like what we call stress, or what we call trauma, right?
Yes.
And if you're looking too far in the future, you get handed what we call anxiety. So that whole looking in the past gives you that depression. That whole looking too far in the future gives you that anxiety. But looking in the present gives you the possibilities. Right. And that's what we kind of lost. We kind of lost the possibilities. Now we're just doing whatever. So when you talk about seeing, the girls get the drug dealers or the guys that's pushing weight around town or whatever. Now, as a young guy, I'm tuned in to something that I see that I want girls, and I see where the girls going. Now I'm gonna turn it into what I tuned into. So now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sell drugs. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be a rapper. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like try to hurt people because I think that this is what they want. And we got to get back to teaching ourselves.
Yes.
Because we've lost the art of self-love. We lost the art of understanding and understanding yourself. Yes. And when I started to know myself, I started to know everyone else. Like myself isn't just me. Myself is with you.
I'm so glad you said that, man.
Experience.
I'm so glad
I'm gonna let you elaborate on that too.
Yeah,
Let you elaborate
because
on
I
that.
say that all the time. It's like it's the song. It's one of these songs I like. I forgot the name of the group. I think it's called Krubin. This girl put me up on it. Shout out to you if you know who you are. I forgot her name at the moment, but she put me up on this song, and it's called Friday Morning. It's like a real instrumental vibey type song, and there's a line in the song that said "Find you, find me," and I'm like,
Mm.
yo, when you find you, you do find everybody else, because it's like, and to elaborate, because when you say find, our people, they hear these statements and like, what does that mean? Everything got to be explained. Find you can mean a lot of things, but in my definition, find yourself means, of course, analyze you as a person, get to know who you are, whatever train of thought you into, whether it be astrology, whether it be religion, whatever it is, find the area of information that deals with your life. Learn your history, learn the system, learn what's going on, because when you find the truth of life, you're going to find yourself, and you're going to realize that what you thought was just happening to you is happening to everybody. So it takes away that no one knows what I'm going through. No, everybody went through that. Everybody went through the certain social program of this country, of this world. So it makes you realize it's not all hope is not lost, because it's not something that just happened to you. So when you find that it didn't just happen to you, that opens up the door for you to be what? More relatable to other people, because you realize what you went through is what we went through. So I'm so glad you say that, because the more I learned about myself, the more I really did understand that, damn, mad people went through what I went through. This ain't just something that happened to me. This wasn't just a programming of my life. This is what happened to many young brothers. This what happened to my mother happened to a lot of other people. So now it takes away the woe is me energy. Even though you still human, you're gonna feel bad sometimes. But it's different when you realize, it's like when you in trouble in class, it's like, damn. But then when other people get in trouble and be in detention with you, you still feel bad, but you be like, shit, it ain't just me. You know what I'm saying? So once you realize it ain't just happening to you, it kind of takes the edge off a little bit, because you realize that this is something that's happening to all of us.
Yeah, and I really love that, because one of the things that I started to think about when you were expressing that is this whole ideology of like self-made, this whole ideology of doing it on your own. It's a false narrative, and I think most people get caught up in that because we do feel like we're on our own in a lot of ways, but we're not, right? Just by nature of you wearing clothing, right? You walk outside your house, there's about 4 or 5, 6 people who done put work in to help you get these clothes. There's about 4 or 5, 6 people who done put work in to help you get that car, who created that car for you, right? It's about 4 or 5, 6 people who help you help build your house, right? So in actuality, you've never done anything alone. And when you start to realize it's a team game, that's when you start to win. So I started realizing, King, I was like, what is this whole purpose, man? Like every day we're running out of time. That must mean something. Are we really living, or are we dying? I think that we're experiencing, right?
Yes.
And it comes to a point where you can no longer experience past a certain threshold. But during your experience, you are meant to connect with people. So as I mentioned before, like it takes 2 people to create one person and creates that group, right? God has sprinkled a little bit of God's gifts in everybody. So I
Yes.
have a gift that you don't have. You have a gift that I don't have. When you start to realize self, you now can see that and go, wow, if I'm not living up to my capabilities, somebody else out there is being hurt. So you stop living selfishly.
Mm.
You start living for the community. So there's different levels of life. So the first level of life is that victim stage, where it's all about me. It's all about the things that I'm experiencing. Nobody knows what's going on in my life, and I'm the only one doing that. And then you awaken from that, and you ascend to a higher degree of knowledge, and you go, whoa, it's not just about me. It's about community. Sometimes that window opens up for people when they have children, and then that gives them that level of ability to be able to operate higher, right, on a higher frequency. So now when you go from the community, you go to another level, and the next level is region, right? So now you're looking at statewide, you're looking at the East Coast, or if you live on the West Coast, right? Or you live in America, you worried about America. And then there's another level, the world level. When you're looking to solve problems on the world level, or you're looking to give your gift, because your gift will give you your gold. Most people are so busy following things that don't allow them to see their gifts. So you're blocking your own blessings. Like, God is not making you go through these things. Nobody's making you go through these things. But as a human, you have what we call a human experience. Life is the greatest teacher for a reason, because life is teaching you what you could do, what you can't do, in order for you to actually understand what you could present and be in a possibility of. So what do I mean by that? As a kid, you're going to touch things, you're going to do things, you're going to eat things that's not supposed to eat. You're going to touch fire, you get burned, but then you learn. And then you look at those things and you know how to build off the things from what you experience. So the past is meant to be a teacher. You're meant to learn from the past. The purpose of learning is mastery. So the future is for the vision. You're supposed to see that, but you see it with your mind's eye, right? Your imagination. And then the present is where you stand in the possibilities. This is where you create everything. So when it comes to relationships affecting your cash flow, you can start to see that your quality of life is based upon your relationships. So most people are stuck at that victim stage where it's more like, it's just about me. That's the 9 to 5 job. That's where it is. 9 to 5 job is not a problem, y'all. It's a stepping stone. But when you stay stoned, you get stepped upon. So you shouldn't be at the 9 to 5 for too long. And you're gonna feel it innately. It's gonna be in your body, it's gonna be in your soul, it's gonna be in your mind, you're gonna know it. So that's I don't have to tell you that. You know that. But we want to be able to move from out of that. So the way to move from out of that is to start to understand where you're at. And you got to be honest at where you're at to close the gap, right? This is where you want to be. This is where you're at. You got to be honest about where you're at to close the gap to get to where you want to be. So how do you get to where you want to be? Once again, it's that victim stage where when you're at the job, right? When you're at the job and you're thinking it's only about me. That's why you get one paycheck. That's enough for one person that you take and you bring it to your house and you split it with your kids, your significant other. And now you realize you don't got no money because you're not working on a high enough level. You're working on the lowest level possible. That's bare minimum. So you want to start to ascend your life to get to that next level. Relationships are affecting your cash flow. So now you got to start dealing with relationships, because on that victim level, most people who are in the 9 to 5, yeah, I don't want anybody in my business. Yeah, I don't really want to talk to people. Yeah, I'm an introvert. You're claiming these type of titles, speaking it into existence, because language creates reality, and therefore your reality is low because you want a small circle. A small circle equals a small bank account. A small circle equals a small wallet. A small circle equals a small life. Because your circumstances are based around the circle that you're standing in. These words are not just random words, it's spells. So understanding language will help you elevate, right? So now when we're talking about that next level of community, so when you think about community, it's no longer about you, right? The reason why you get up and you go and you hustle and you get to work because you have children, you know it's no longer about you. That motivation is higher, it's kicking you higher, because God knows, God put this in us, that we're gonna move faster for somebody else than for our own selves. How many times do we say, I want to go to the gym and I need to work out? Every year, January rolls around, y'all got New Year's resolution, February 1st, that shit is done. Let's be real here, because we're operating on that lowest level. Doing it for yourself is the lowest level, right? So now when I'm saying, okay, cool, relationships affect your cash flow, you now have to start looking at your relationships. Are people in your relationships, people that's in your life, people that's in your phone, go down your contact list in your phone, or go down your last 10 messages. Are those people adding deposits into your life? Beautiful things overflowing your cup? Or are those people withdrawing from you, taking from you, subtracting from you, distracting you, right? So you want to start to think about those when it comes to your relationship. So when you start operating on that community level where it's like, okay, I got to think about other people. Now you start thinking about, how can I help somebody else? The story that you have gone through, the situations that you have gone through, the tests that you have been tested with, right, are really blessings. But if you never learn the lesson, you keep on testing. When you understand the lesson, you get the blessings. It's really not hard. It's looking at your challenges. What am I faced with? I lost my parents growing up. I went to 7 different schools in 9 years. I had gastroesophageal reflux disease. I was dealing with all these different things. I had anger management issues, right? But when I worked on all of these things, I'm now helping people elevate their lives with the same things that I thought I was cursed with. Because everything has duality. So every curse has a gift. And when you think about it, like I said before, when you find your gift, Your gift will give you your goal. But the way that you find your gift is if you go through the tests of life, you're going to get blessed with certain knowledge. And then guess what happens? You're going to use that knowledge to ascend to another degree. So after I get from the community world where I'm just helping people, I'm doing things. Now I get to the regional, right? Now I'm at the States where I'm working and I got a business. I got an entity. I have a business. Now that I have a business, I'm serving people across the world. So now I'm across the States, but now I want to take my business to another level. So what does that mean? I have to now reach a greater pool of people and now reaching out across the world. So during this whole transition, you realize how important relationships are. So your relationships are going to be the thing that either puts you over the top to give you the lifestyle you want, or it's going to be the thing that drops you, and you'll be suffering from the lack of building these relationships. But King, I want you to elaborate on anything that stuck out to you while I was speaking about that.
Everything was powerful that you were saying. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't dispute nothing you were saying. You know what I mean? Like I like what like circumstances like such a, and like I got room to work on this. Like I'm still in the 9 to 5 world, so you preaching to me right now. I receive everything you saying. I'm taking it all in for real. But yeah, that circumstance. There's 2 words in that. Circum is circumference, is circle. Stance is stance. So your circumstance is the stance in your circle. So you was 100 with what you just said, and like words are powerful and words are spells, and that's why they call it spelling. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I'm guilty of that. Like I keep my circle small sometimes because it's like, especially in this going viral and all this, like you don't know who is who. You don't know who cares. You don't know who trying to help you. You don't know who just trying to, you know what I mean, just waste your time. You know what I mean? Everybody, it's like you all of a sudden overnight you got so many people eyes on you, but people are not, and they demand things from you. They say, oh, you should do this, you do that. But hey, are you going to help me do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to help me get to the next level? Or are you just going to tell me what I need to do and like I'm in the 9 to 5 everyday grind like you. So you're right about that. Like you need a circle. You need teamwork. You know what I'm saying? But you just gotta meet the right people, man. And hopefully you had the discernment to know who is who. But it just can be difficult sometimes. But everything you're saying is absolutely correct.
Absolutely. When we talk about contractual, right? When we say love is contractual, relationships are contractual, money is contractual, what we really mean is this. When you realize that you want a certain level of life, you have to understand, you don't have to do anything, but it might be beneficial to you if you actually recognize this. This is a principle, this is law, this is nature, right? If you want to get to a certain level, there's things you must do, whether you like it or not. Like there's things you must do whether you like them or not. And one of the things that you must do whether you like it or not is build a team. Building a team comprises of individuals
My
at
fault,
4 levels.
bro. People keep calling me. I'm
You know,
sorry.
don't worry, Kane. Like we building. So building a team requires 4 levels, right? There's 4 levels of business. In these 4 levels of business, you got the highest level, which is the imagination level. The imagination level, this is where you create things. This is being a creator. This is being an inventor. This is being somebody who's doing something that's using their imagination, which is the highest tool that you can use, right? So now, this is where you get paid the most money. This is where you get paid the most impact. In fact, this is where you have the most time and freedom. Because when you're creating something, what happens is you get into what we call the flow state. And in this flow state, you lose track of time. Now, that's what that does for you. That is giving you a glimpse into what it's going to be like once your dream, once your imagination comes into fruition. But that person who creates the idea, such as Uber, right? The person who created Uber, that person is not working in Uber. That person created the idea. But there's people out here slaving and doing Uber, right? Like we've all done it before, right? We've all done these things. I've done an Uber, right? We've all done these things. And this is how I started to know this, just because from experience, right? And then I'm using my imagination. So the person who created Uber is not the person that's driving Uber. But the person that created Uber has more impact, more money, more time, more freedom. The person who created Uber only spends 20% of their time working and gets to spend 80% of their time enjoying their lives. The person who's driving Uber, the person who's implemented Uber, is at the lowest level of value. And everybody has agreed to this, even you. This is why you probably don't tip the Uber driver, or this is why you probably tip them only $1 or $2. And this is why you're tipping them in the first place, right? So when you think about it, these 4 levels, if you fill in these 4 levels either by yourself and then start to work your way backwards, you can grow into a person that can create 4 or 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and so on, right? But the first thing is making impact, utilize your imagination. The second level from the imagination is the communication. This is the one thing when we say closed mouths don't get fed, but some of us are too busy being scared to communicate. But this level of business right here, this is one of the biggest levels you can get to, because once again, you're only spending 20% of your time working and 80% of the time you enjoy your life. Think about entertainers, think about actors, right? Think about spokespeople, think about presidents. These people are literally communicators. All they're doing is just communicating an idea. So inside of a business, you need somebody to be able to communicate the idea effectively. Who do they need to communicate the idea to? The client and also the team. So who you need to add on that team again? Once again, the communicator, it makes a little bit less than the person who created the idea. It makes a little bit less impact, but they still have all of their time to enjoy their life, which is the most valuable thing, is your time. Remember, we're looking to become more effective in less time. The way to do it is through strategic partnerships. So these are the partnerships you must have. So then the lowest level, the next level under the communication level is the unification level. That's the manager. Y'all know some of them people, that's probably you. The manager is the person that's in charge of making sure all the things that the implementer is doing is getting done, right? The communicator communicates the idea. The manager manages the idea. The implementer does the idea. The person who created Uber has a manager, somebody that's in the back end, making sure that what they would call dispatch, right? To make sure all the drivers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, make sure they're tracked, make sure they're at the stops. And if they're not, they send out notifications and different things like that, right? But they still have a 9-to-5 job. So they still spend 80% of their time working and only 20% of the time enjoying life. That might be you. And that's not a negative, that's a positive. We want to see negatives as positives. Like most of us notice the negatives, but do you notice the notifications, right? Every negative is not a negative, it's a notification. Like if you don't have money for something, that's not a negative, it's a notification that you should work harder in that area. If you don't have the body that you truly want, it's not a negative. Don't beat yourself up over your body. It's a notification that you should work on that area. So now the lowest level of value is the implementation level. And we already described this. It's the person the one that's doing Uber Eats, dropping off the food. It's the person that has to take time to go do this thing to drop off this food when they could be making other money right now, right? But instead, they chose to have the lowest value. That's where you get overworked, underpaid. So if you feel like you're overworked and underpaid, you're operating at 1 or 2 levels, which would be a managerial level. You could make 100K at the managerial level and still be overworked and underpaid. You can make 6 figures there. The lowest level was implementation level. You're probably not going to make 6 figures. You're going to make anywhere from 40 to 80K, right? 40, 80K. And so to some people that might be good. But when you're making 80K, is that enough for you to live the life that you truly want? So you have to start to think about that. So 4 levels of business. The imagination level, the highest level is the person that created the idea. Think Uber, right? Think Netflix. The person that created Netflix is not creating all the movies, running around shooting a bunch of movies. It's just the person who created the idea. You have to start creating ideas. Sometimes you're going to get frustrated in your life because you're not using what you're meant to use, which is your brain. This is why when you're at work, you probably feel, damn, I got to get out of work because you're caged. This type of life, right, that we're living in, it's a warfare on the mind. Slavery is no longer physical, it is mental, it's psychological. I got philosophical up here. Yo, come up here, bro, and really like break it down. Break it down for people, let them get into the mind that you have to be careful what you tune into. You have to be careful what you put into your spectrum. But go ahead, King.
Definitely, you know what I'm saying? This is something that, like, when I speak on things, people, I'm not talking as if I'm not going through it with y'all. I'm going through it too. But hopefully I'm talking to somebody who's maybe younger, so they don't have to go through what I went through, because it's still a struggle for me as well. Like, I'm still on the ground like the rest of y'all. But I'm definitely big on what I intake mentally and even sound waves. Like we listen to different types of music. We don't realize the impact that these things have on these suggested themes that we hear in the music, social media, like all of it has is it takes its toll on you. And you gotta like know when to turn that off. Like a lot of this music, a lot of these themes are not realistic. They make you because it's one thing to motivate somebody to be better, and it's another thing to antagonize somebody based on where they're not at. And I feel like a lot of music, a lot of themes, a lot of talking points, a lot of shows, it is a very antagonistic energy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I like to bring up the music conversation because you could just tell in the music how the music changed throughout the years and how it's synonymous with the change of our people and how we deal with each other. Like in the 60s and the 50s, the music really met you where you was at. Yeah, those artists made money. Yeah, they was more financially straight than their audience, but their music never reflected that. You had music like I'm Black and I'm Proud. You had music like, Let's Stay Together. Or you had songs like Brother, What's Going On? Or, just songs that just met you where you was at. It wasn't necessarily telling you you ain't got this, you ain't got that, you should do this, you should do that. And then there's a way to motivate you. It's a way like what you just did. What you just said was motivating, but it's the way you put it. It was heartfelt. It was you told the truth, like, hey, you need to do better, but it wasn't in a way that was condescending. And I feel like the music today, along with just the culture, is either it's just if you ain't got it, you a bum and shut up. You know what I'm saying? It's like that taking in those messages will kind of make you cut corners and take shortcuts to get to this level that we want to get to.
Right.
So I feel like the things and the messages that we take in is very important, as well as the diet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to watch what you listen to and and filter it. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not good for you. Everything is not going to take you to a place of self-belief, because it's one thing to be motivated, it's another thing to be antagonized into a decision. You know what I'm saying? Everybody like it's like I rather motivate people with love than fear. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the music now, it motivates you to get money, but when you get it, it makes you say F everybody. Back in the day, it made you appreciate where you was at, strive for more, but when
Right.
you got it, it made you want to give it back because that was
Right.
just the culture. Now it's like when I get it, I ain't giving it to nobody, because when I was down, they kicked me. The music don't lift you up; it kicks you down. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's just a an example of or a gauge of where we're at as a people. Is you just look at the themes in the music and the media.
Absolutely. Once again, your relationships are affecting your cash flow. Like, think about it. When he's talking about the music, right? The music is one of those things that perpetuates a small circle. You're not meant to have a small circle. In truth, it's so crazy. Like, it gets so um, intricate when it comes to thinking about these things. And I don't want to put so much into your brains at one moment. I just want you to think, are your thoughts actually yours? Are you taking action based upon what you feel? Because no true idea that we have is actually a new idea. It's something that has been around. We share consciousness, so we just pass information to each other. And here's how you can like kind of see this, right? And once again, I'm not speaking in a way you have to have absolutism with my words. What I'm speaking, I'm just speaking from perspective, which is just mine, but I'm utilizing real life examples, right? So another way to show you that this is just passed around consciousness is just, you ever got an idea from something, like just an idea pops up into your mind, is like, oh damn, that would be dope, and you don't do it. Maybe a week later, maybe a day later, maybe a month, maybe a year. What happens?
Somebody else do it.
Y'all, hold on, y'all can put it into the chat right now. We're all gonna have the same answer. Put it into the chat right now. We'll all have the same answer. King, what was you about to say?
I said somebody else will do it, because what I realize is it's like people don't realize that technology that they have made today is just a reflection of the human technology. They just took the spiritual quantum world and made it tangible. Because what's the first Wi-Fi? You are
Right.
literally wireless. It's a signal from the Most High that wake you up, and all of that you can't physically see, but it's there. So the study of man led to the unfolding of technology. So it's like when you download an app, anybody could download the app. You might be the first one to download it, but once they find out about it, they can download it too. So when you get a download of an idea, it's not just given to you. You just seen it first, but somebody else gonna see it too, and they're gonna act on it, because these messages are just given to everybody. We just grab them at different times and we act on them on different times, but they inseminated to everybody. So you're absolutely right with that. You know what I'm saying? They like downloads.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why we study. This is why we do meditation. This is why we do healing work. This is why we do grounding. This is why we have positive, stimulating conversation, because we want more downloads. This is why we read. This is why we engage into activities such as brainstorming, masterminding, right? Because we want these downloads. And the thing about it, as I mentioned before, is your mindset is your lifestyle turned inside out. Like you're experiencing what you think. And I know it sounds far-fetched and I know it sounds cliche, but once again, I only show you real life examples. Before you put your clothing on, you envision the clothing coming on you. I know I'm not the only one. I know you just don't pick up the clothes and just be like, okay, let's see how it looks now. I wasn't expecting that. Take it off. No, you actually envisioned it and then you saw it. When you get ready to enter your house, you envision yourself getting through the house. But why do we stop when we get problems? When problems come up, why do we get all flushed when we could actually just see ourselves getting through what we're going through? See, utilizing your mind, because your mind is the greatest tool in the world. But the most powerful tool in the world is the made-up mind. So when we talk about love being contractual, when we talk about you getting an idea, getting a download, and if you don't do it, it moves on to somebody else because it's contractual. The contract is acting in the now because that's all you ever have. We only have the now, and people think that we got tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised for everybody. I'm quite sure there was some people that didn't wake up today that thought they was going to have it tomorrow. I'm quite sure there was people last week that was talking about this week, they're not here. I'm quite sure there's people talking about last year, talking about this year, they're not here. And the reason why we are where we are is because of the things that we do and the things that we know. But we need to utilize each other to be able to get to another level. This is why mentorship is important. This is why strategic partnerships are important. This is why connection is important, y'all. Right? It's how connection is important. So what I'm saying is it's a contract. And the contract is you must act now. That's the contract. That's the contract. You must act now. Think about it. There was a crazy boom in 2000s about online activity. Like, I mean, being a coach. I mean, selling a product, selling a service. I mean, teaching somebody something, education, right? Anything that was online, that was digital, it was a boom during the 2020. Some of y'all didn't act on that. And some of y'all looking to do it now, and it's a little too late. You're catching the tail end of it. So you got to be the person that's ahead of the curve, seeing the vision for what's being laid in front of you. But once again, you can tell by your own experience. Like everything that's happening is happening from the human. Like it's created through the human experience. So the technology, the AI technology, the AI has always been that person. Before it was encyclopedias. After encyclopedias, it was Google. Now after Google, it's what? AI, right? ChatGPT, all the other GPTs. But before all of that, it was the elder. When you wanted to seek wisdom, you see the elder. Before the elder, it was just the source. You just seek the source. So you can still tap into that power today. That's never going anywhere. But what becomes a distraction becomes a subtraction. So the movies that you watch, you might say, yeah, I don't watch TV like that, but you do watch TV more than ever now. We're watching TV right now. The craziest thing is that we are now the TV. That's how crazy it is. It's so crazy that we've become the TV. We used to be able to watch TV and sit down and watch. Now we're on the TV. Right now, I'm on TV right now. I'm on TV right now. You're looking at me through a TV screen. If you look at the phone and you look at your TV screen, it's the same
thing. The Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. But you might not understand what the Black Mirror is, right? I want you to break that down for people because they might not understand what the Black Mirror is, right? This Black Mirror is a device that's used to conjure up things. Now, what do I mean by that? It's used to manifest things. It's used to create spells. It's not all evil. Once again, the mind is the greatest tool in the world, but the most powerful tool in the world is a made-up mind. If you made up your mind to not watch TV, to not be in a distraction, you wouldn't have subtractions. So what do I mean? How much does your TV cost? So your TV probably costs $450, but that's the price. But the real cost of it is how much money you miss out on by watching it and not doing something that's productive in the moment of acting that you have here. Remember, love is contractual. Money is contractual. You got to act in the moment, right? If you got a woman or if you got a man and you tell them sweet things like, yo, babe, I love you. You're amazing. I just want to be with you, do all these things. And that's cool. They love it, right? They love it. But it comes down to your action. It comes down to you acting. If you say, yo, I want to get a better body, I want to have a healthier lifestyle, it's cool, but it comes down to your action. So saying you want to be $1 million earner, saying you want to have a legacy is cool, but it comes down to the action. So King, I want you to talk on the action, but first I want you to talk on that whole Black Mirror piece because that is key right there.
Well, I use that term loosely, but I just feel like it's basically these devices. You know what I'm saying? It's like the mirror, the magic mirror. You know what I'm saying? And it's really just yourself, because when you turn off the TV screen, it's just a mirror, and you see you. So it's like whatever you watching through the television, it's really just you watching your own mind play out. Because you're only going to watch things that you want to watch. You're only going to click on things that resonate with your mind. So TV is really you talking to your own self and putting your own thoughts out. Because all these, like Netflix, it's a lot of different genres. So your genre list, and what they suggest to you is still a reflection of your mindset. Somebody's Netflix suggestions might be documentaries and cooking shows because it has created an algorithm of your mind. Algorithms are just mentalities, and they figure out which mentality is yours. So they just suggest stuff for you. If you into self-help stuff, the algorithm is going to feed you that. So TV is the algorithm that you made because it's going to suggest to you what you like to watch. So I think that's the Black Mirror effect, is really projecting back to you what's on your mind.
Right. So who's to blame? Right? If you ever wanted to blame somebody, that's why you take blame for self. You don't need to blame anybody else and anyone else because whatever happens in your life is a reflection of your choices. That's why when you take ownership of your life and you go, you know what? Everything happened because of me. That is the area that you start to see your increase. When you go from that victim stage to that community stage. Look, I promise you, even if you ever get to the community stage in life, it's so much better than the victim stage. It's so much better, y'all. It's so much better. You don't have to be stressed out. You don't have to be worried because you understand that you are protected. You are whole. You are complete. The ancestors chose you. God made you in the image of God, right? The likeness. So I want you to understand you are already the greatest. As a woman, you are the portal to life. God chose you to be the portal to life. You are something special. But society, like our thoughts, will trick you. Your mind will play tricks on you if you let it, because it's the greatest tool in the world. So you can use it for good, you can use it for bad, but your mindset is your lifestyle turned inside out. So this is why you developing you is number one key. This is why acting in a moment is so paramount. This is why you creating a good circle of people around you is very important, because what you tune into, you turn into. What you see frequently becomes your frequency. What's your frequency is what you see frequently. I'm not just using words because it sounds nice. I'm using it because I'm intentional with it. I don't want to have a serious relationship. I want an intentional one. A serious one ends up in heartbreak, ends up in fights and yelling because it's too serious. Intentional ends up in love, care, correction, right? Everybody wants to feel these 5 things. Everybody wants to be loved, appreciated, heard, felt, and seen. But the first person you got to do that for is you. So watching TV just randomly, aimlessly is not going to be your best option, because in that moment you're just flicking through channels. So whatever catches your attention by psychology, if somebody jumping in the screen like this, hey, you're going to look, you can see what's going on. If something is on fire, you're going to see what's happening, right? So be careful what you look at. Be careful with the gaze, because now it latches onto your brain. So in theory, it's saying, hey, look, whatever situation that you're going through right now, just know that you're going to get through it if you want to get through it. Just know that you will get through it if you're working to get through it. But also know you're not going to get through it by yourself. You need strategic partnerships. The primary focus in this world right here that we're living in could be different from person to person, but in my perspective, is to become more effective in less time. That is the key. If you're working 40 hours a week and you're overworked and underpaid, you're not going to have room for your own personal growth the way that you want to, or your own experience the way that you want to. So what is the next option? I need to speed up how much I'm getting paid by the times that I'm getting paid. So for me, when I used to work at do graphics for Netflix and Roku, I used to work 5 days a week. When I got sick with the gastroesophageal reflux disease, I lost over 55 pounds in 41 days. They sent me home. They called me back and they told me, they said, look, you're going to have to make a choice either to work or you got to leave. I said, before I do that, let me become more effective in less time. This was the first incidence where I started really understanding becoming more effective in less time was everybody's key purpose anyway. So I took every vacation day I had and I took it on the Monday and the Friday. So I worked 3 days a week and got paid for 5 days a week. And that was the first introduction to me becoming more effective in less time. And then I realized that was everybody's goal in the first place. So I might as well get ahead of it and be intentional about it so I can surpass it or shoot past it. Now, this is what I mean. So the reason why you drive to work instead of walking to work is because you want to get there faster. You want to become more effective in less time. You can walk. It's free. It don't cost you a damn thing to walk. But you want to get there faster, so you pay for it to get there faster. You pay for it, which is forward. You pay for it to get you there faster. So when you think about it, what else do you do that you want to become more effective in less time? If you wanted to travel, if you're in New York, you want to travel to California, you could take a road trip. It's going to cost you some days, but instead you're going to take a flight. Why? Because you want to become more effective in less time. Okay. You want to eat. You're going to go to the grocery store. You're going to buy your groceries. You're going to cook your food. But damn, that just took 3, 4, 5 hours. You ain't even got that much time. You done missed out on things you're supposed to be doing when you got off of work. But since you work 40 hours a week and you only got 4 hours to yourself anyway, you use 3 of them up on the cook to go grocery shopping. You got 1 hour, or now you staying up late. And now you staying up late is affecting your next day. So now you realize, you like, damn, I don't want to do that again. I'm going to order. I'm going to order my groceries. So now most of you want to become more effective in less time, and you order your groceries. So you get 2 hours back because now while you're at work, you're ordering your groceries. So you got smart. You became more effective in less time. So you became more effective in less time, and now you got the groceries. But guess what? You still got to cook. So now that's another hour still. So then, okay, cool. The next level to that is now you got to hire a personal chef. So I haven't cooked a meal in 24 months. Over 24 months. I haven't cooked a meal in 2 years. I got a personal chef. And I got a place that I go to on a reg. So what I'm saying is your lifestyle is your mindset turned inside out. So whatever you want, you're going to find a way to get it. But you have to start seeing yourself on that level first. You got to start seeing it. You got to start believing it. When you feel, you make it real. So the other key to it, right, it's the last thing I'll show you, and I'll let philosophical go. But I want to show you that your primary objective is to become more effective in less time. That's everybody's primary objective, whether you notice it or not.
Right.
But if you notice it, now you could actually know what to do with it and be able to move faster up in your experience with life. So the reason why you go to a 9 to 5, or the reason why you go to a job, or the reason why you have somebody else pay you, because it's much easier for somebody else to pay you than you to dig in your own pocket, put it in your own hand to pay yourself and put it back in your pocket, and then use that same money to spend it on other things. Then where's the money coming from? So it's much easier for you, because you become more effective in less time, to get paid by somebody else. But if you took that same concept and you flipped it to get paid by somebody else, you realize you got those 4 levels of business. You become the person that creates the idea. You become the person that communicates the idea to somebody else to manage it, to do it. Guess what? You're going to make way more money. Why? Because if you're going to work for somebody, by default, you have already agreed that you're going to get the lowest amount of money. We showed you with the person who made Uber, person who made Netflix, whoever it is. The person who's implementing the idea is going to get the least amount of impact The least amount of income is going to be overworked and underpaid. We have understood that. So if you want more income and you want to ascend your life a little bit more, you have to now focus on whoever has your attention has your ascension. So, okay, cool. What does that mean? Maybe I need to learn from other people who's doing it already. Like, have you ever went to your quote unquote employer or boss and said, hey, look, whatever you're doing here, can you teach me? Teach me. No, you probably didn't. You probably just stayed at where you're at, and that's why you're where you're at, right? But we want to move you from where you're at to where you want to be. And the key component of all of that is strategic partnerships. So let's look at back when I said the first thing, right? When I was talking about going to the grocery store. Like you became every level you had a strategic partnership. So when you first went out to get the groceries at the store, yeah, you might have spent 2-3 hours, but it's better than you spending 2, 4, 5, 6 months planting it yourself, right? So you got a strategic partner. You pay somebody who already planted it. You pay somebody who already packaged it. You pay somebody who already washed it all, and you got the stuff. Okay, cool. Now the next level of that was let me get a personal chef, right? So cool. I'm not the one getting the groceries. Oh wait, no, it was the like Instacart stuff. So okay, cool. I'm not going out there. I got another strategic partner. I'm gonna have somebody else shop for me and bring me the stuff. But then you kept making the food yourself. Okay, cool. The next level is to have a personal chef. Once again, it's strategic partnerships. So how could you use strategic partnerships? Your employer is looking at you like that. Who can I bring here to do this activity to help me not do that activity so I could go do something else that's higher in the 4 levels of business so I can make more money? That's your goal. And the money, don't get me wrong, y'all. The reason why I'm saying the money is because the money is controlling basically your experience. Like, how many of you can go to Maldives right now and go chill in one of the water bungalows? Or, you can't do it if you don't have the money or the strategy. So that's why I'm speaking about money. And I know some of y'all gonna say money's not important, and why you work 40, 60 hours a week for? Money is
That's true.
important. Money is a spiritual thing. This is spiritual. See, God gave us the ability to be, do, and have. One of my mentors, Myron Golden, he's always talking about this. To be, do, and have. See, as humans, we care about having. That's why you want the nice car. That's why you want the personal chef. That's why you want the personal driver. That's why you want the best relationship, because you care about having. God cares about us being. So we don't even get to have without being. If you get to have without earning the right to have the experience, you might be a thief. If somebody's taking your property, but they didn't earn the right to have the experience to get the property, you call them a thief. So by nature, I'm only speaking about facts that we experience, y'all. Like I'm not giving you my own theory on stuff. I'm giving you principles that I've recovered and discovered through life. And I want to share that with you. Why? Because if I share that with you, that's a higher level of spiritualness. So not only am I going to be empowered, but my community is. So if my community is empowered, I'm empowered, we all empowered. And if we're all empowered, then we're empowered. And if we got the power, we get to dictate what's happening.
That's true.
Go ahead, King.
No, that's a fact, bro. Everything you said was true, and we definitely gotta wrap offline because unfortunately I still gotta work tomorrow. but I definitely, I agree with everything you said, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I hopefully, like I said, we could chop it up more because you have a lot of resources and knowledge that I need to implement like yesterday. And like I appreciate you for sharing your platform. I definitely want you to come chop it up on my panel soon. So I definitely appreciate you for having me up here, bro. And like you said, bro, everything you said was gold, bro. Beautiful message. I definitely need to hear that myself today. I had a real rough day, kinda. So this was definitely something I need to hear, and I appreciate your time, bro. For real.
Yo, I'm sending you a lot of love. Before you go, if you haven't followed Philosophical, follow him now. Bro, tell them what you got going on. I know you got a show and stuff happening. Let them
Yeah, I
know.
got a
Just give a little bit
live
about yourself.
tomorrow. I got a live tomorrow on my YouTube channel. It's philosophical_radio. I had a lot of dope interviews. I had some shows up there. So definitely tap in my content because a lot of people think, oh, you just they kind of like categorize you. They try to think you just manosphere, whatever term they want to use. But it's like, no, I talk about a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I got a show about finance. I had a show about, talking to a coach. You're talking about sports and youth and how that affect young men. I try to be very diverse. So tap in with the channel, Philosophical_radio. We got a show tomorrow night talking about the threat of intelligent men, basically kind of tapping into a couple of things we spoke on this conversation earlier, but just getting deep into the root of this schism we seem to have when it comes to black men and their intelligence, and how they can be ostracized not just by other cultures, but their own society and their own community, and how that can be a problem in unification later. Because regardless of what my titles might be or what my theme of my shows might be, it's a method to it, and it's always a lesson in trying to bring it back together to we basically need each other. Now the conversations might get a little heated sometimes, but the root and the is to get back to a common ground of relating to each other. Because like you said, brother, relationships are everything. And we don't even understand how we don't have these relationships that's functional, because a certain, fundamental elements in our culture that just creates more dissension than unity. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about one of those topics. So tap in, y'all, Philosophical_radio, and come chop it up with me. Leave a comment, share, like, and subscribe. And tap in, man.
Real quick, drop it in the chat before you go. And also, what time is it? What time is it starting?
9 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time?
Eastern Standard Time. Yep, I'm about to drop it now.
Yeah.
My YouTube channel. Tap in. Tap in.
Appreciate you. Yo, from the moment I met this guy, y'all, like literally, I knew he was a brother. I knew he was a kindred spirit. I knew he was a person that was in alignment with his assignment. If you haven't followed him, follow him now. If you haven't followed myself, follow me. Let's build this community full of love, connectivity, and financial prosperity. All right, King, I'm going to see you. I'm going to holler at you tomorrow. Let's continue to build, my brother.
Peace, man. I appreciate you. Definitely.
Love.
Come on, peace,
love. Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap up, y'all, like the whole theme of this is your relationships are affecting your cash flow. Instead of being the employee, it's now time to be the employer, right? You got to see difficulty differently. You might not want to work out, but you should be working out, because it's going to work out your mind. It's going to work out your brain. It's going to put the muscles into the best tool possible, right? So once again, the greatest tool in the world is the mind, but the most powerful tool in the world is a made-up mind. What do you need to make up your mind on today? Like what have you been like neglecting? What type of avoidance behavior have you been having? Like, do you need assistance somewhere? Do you need support? Do you need community? Do you need something? DM me if you feel like you need some support. DM me if you feel like you need a community. I want to help you build a community. That's what I've been doing. I've been building communities. I've been helping people create financial prosperity, all through love and connectivity. So if you want to be part of something like that, this is the place to be, y'all. And it's not about me, it's about we. But if we speak about me, then we're talking about maxing everything. So go out there and max everything, y'all. You're amazing. You're whole, you're complete. And if you're a woman, please understand, you are the portal to life. You are chosen. But it only shows when you believe. Shout out to everybody who was on. Shout out to Born to Influence, my man Dub Washington, Philosophical, Courtney, True Legacy, everybody who was tapped in, Mr. Brooklyn Business, everybody who showed up and showed love. Shout out to Ronnie, shout out to Rainbow, Cousins, Courtney, everybody. I'll see y'all soon. Once again, if you didn't follow me now, follow me, go ahead. I'm going to follow you back. But you got to do it now, because if you don't do it now, I'm not going to know who you are, and I'm probably not going to follow back. But all right, y'all. Peace, love, and beautiful energy. You are amazing. You are whole. You are complete. Mindset Mogul. I'm out of here. Peace.